Hello again. This is Angela from Advice Resolutions. The last time that we addressed you, we discussed the unfortunate circumstances that led to the death of George Floyd in America, where he had the knee of a police officer on his neck. In similar circumstances in the UK, in Scotland, our client also faced similar circumstances of the knee on her neck by Scottish police officers. And fortunately, this did not lead to a tragedy of her death, but it could have been. It could so easily have been, because we know that a number of people of colour throughout the UK have suffered deaths at the hands of police in their custody and also in the custody of the criminal justice system's prisons. So, why are we here talking to you today again? Because there's also the important factor of how individual people of colour, access the justice system. Because if you can't access the justice system, if you don't get correct advice, timely advice, access to defence lawyers, you could easily be subjected to extrajudicial treatment by judges who have no qualms about, taking illegal action against you without your rights being implemented by qualified counsel, solicitors. In our case, in our client's case, that is, our client faced racism and discrimination of the most heinous and iniquitous type, and especially, surprisingly, from a lawyer, an advocate in the criminal justice system, who blatantly told them that they are not going to receive any assistance from a defence lawyer because our client, within their right, and they do as of right, can make a protected act complaint about race. Essentially, what our client did was complained that they felt that the criminal justice system was inherently discriminatory and racist. And as a result of making that claim, and a lawyer cannot deny a person a right to access justice and be represented on that basis, because that in itself, that's unlawful. And that is against the Equality Act 2010. But it did happen. And it has been seen to not have been dealt with. Yet this same lawyer, representative of a firm in Scotland, has been allowed to continue to do duty service in the very court that our client has been dealt with in. How fair is that? How lawful is that? Do you mean to tell me that the Scottish Courts and Tribunal system permits this individual to work in the criminal justice system, who refuses to enable, to permit the black woman, person of colour, to receive a defence assistance in Scots law? Well, I've never heard of that. I've heard of all other reasons, all manner of excuses and justification not to take a case. But that particular blatant reason not to take a case has been left unchallenged. So what does that tell us? The criminal justice system, the court system in Scotland can only be inherently racist. Because if something was done about that could be seen to be done, then we wouldn't be having this discussion. We wouldn't be telling you any of this, because everything would have been settled. But we now know that our client, unfortunately, is going to be subject to further iniquitous, most racist decision-making in the Scottish court system, because this particular incident of removing the person who's supposed to be acting legally as a lawyer is actually illegal and refusing to give a service of legality to our client, who is a person of colour. But tune in next time for part 3 of exposing the Scottish criminal justice system. Take care of yourselves.